It's important to note that Netflix is the only streaming service that's profitable right now, and that was very recent. Well, yeah, it's very inefficient. Getting all of those network pings for HD video for the huge library of stuff that you have, you know, all the different. That's the reason why they take shows off the air on Netflix, by the way, even if they own them or they stop broadcasting them or whatever. It's because they want all of the traffic they get on Netflix to be very deliberately and specifically directed towards the stuff that maximizes their revenue. Like, they don't want idle watching to a bunch of stuff that people don't care about. They want directed viewership that corresponds heavily to continued, subscription, maintenance and paying and so on and so forth, right? It's because they don't want to pay residuals to people who made it. That's also a part of it. Yeah, that's also a part of it for sure. And honestly, the solution to this would just be that, like, in a lot of cases, live streaming is probably not, like Netflix, live streaming videos, probably not a very good system. You know? You should probably just pay to rent. You can do that off YouTube. It makes a lot of sense. You can pay to rent. $3 to rent a movie? Hell yeah. Seems good to me. Pay to rent, isn't renting also paying in itself? What? No, what? No. What? Like, of Netflix. So Blockbuster? Sure, but online. These changes would make the service less used. Yeah, but that's not really a fair comparison, because letting stuff be open and free to everyone forever, even if it's like a money hole, will always bring in the greatest number of people, right? So yeah, you might curtail viewership, but if it's a better option for getting people to watch stuff and it pays for itself, can't we just have a publicly funded digital library? We can't worm our way out of every difficult question about digital infrastructure by saying, what if the government ran it? Yes, that would be nice. We can't do that every time. That's what Netflix used to do when it was failing. You go on a website and you see, oh, why did I say Kanye West 4? Keanu Reeves, John Wick 4, the John Wickening. Rent, beep, $3.99. You have 48 hours to watch it. Beep, and then you watch it. I feel like that's a pretty efficient ratio of bandwidth usage to, like, revenue intake, you know? That's Prime Video. I mean, you can also do it on YouTube, yeah. You have a time limit. For renting, usually it's like within 48 hours or 30 or 30 days or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Sorry, I just can't get on board with renting every single internet service I want to use. You already pay for Netflix if you have Netflix. I'm only talking about a change to Netflix's model. You already have to pay for Netflix. We're talking about something that already costs money. Oh, I missed that context. My bad. What if I pirate it? I mean, you can pirate stuff if you want. I'm not here to stop you or tell you you're bad for it or anything, but you know that's not a solution to long-term digital infrastructure costs, right? Like, it costs money. If you pirate everything, you can't really get, like, upset if they're canceling shows and games. Why are they canceling them? Because they didn't make enough money, man. I know corporate greed fucks this all up, and Netflix cancels popular shows too. I'm not saying you personally are responsible if you pirate something. I'm just saying we're talking about broader systems here, right? Broader systems. How do we fix these systems? And in terms of, like, the relationship between bandwidth use and, like, revenue generated, choosing a specific movie or TV show and going like, I will pay money to see this, and then seeing it seems all right. It's not about pirating. It's about people that feel like they have to pirate. I'm not going to lie. I think that's total bullshit. The idea that pirates are like these noble consumers who are just outraged by corporate malpractice, and that if you just give them a product worth their time, they're willing to give. Fuck you. Come on. That's such just admit you don't want to pay for the thing. Don't pretend that you're some kind of, like, netware warrior, like tactically withholding your cash because you don't want to give the man their corporate satisfaction. Just admit you don't want to pay. Come on. I said shit like that when I was 15. Yeah, what a convenience then that my noble battle against corporate autocracy just happens to overlap with my desire to not pay for this thing that I wanted, you know? What a convenient. It works out pretty well, you know? Again, I'm not saying if you've pirated, you're a horrible person. I'm just saying let's be realistic about what we're talking about. That's it. Let's not have our heads up our asses. Game dev talking about piracy is just a matter of pricing. I don't like game dev, okay? Live streamer talking about how piracy is a matter of you wanting to play the thing but not pay for it. The important other side of that truth is often neglected. What people pirate, they probably would not buy it if it wasn't available to pirate. I think that really depends. Netflix killed piracy to a certain extent back when it was the most convenient. Now Netflix is inconvenient, so people are going back to piracy. Yeah, the problem with that, though, is that Netflix was the most convenient when they had most of the market share for live streaming video and TV, and when they were cheap, but they were operating at a loss back then. Now they're breaking even, and people are mad at them. They're like, oh, it's too expensive. They don't have the stuff that I like. The previous model was never sustainable. It's like with Uber. Uber was real convenient back when you could go across town for $6.43. Now that an Uber to the local 7-Eleven is $46, it's like, okay, well, yeah, well, the previous model was also operating at a loss. What we want for a sustainable economic solution is a model that meets those 2 points. This is like Market 101 stuff that meets those 2 points, right? The greatest degree of convenience while also being economically sustainable. Because if it's not economically sustainable, then it can't sustain itself, you know? Uber still operates at a loss, which is, yeah, it's not a good service at all. But Netflix is, well, not Netflix, but the concept of live streaming movies and video. I personally don't want to go back to going to Blockbuster to rent like VHS tapes, right? I personally think that it's cool that I can go on my smart TV or my computer and I can just watch a new show. I think that's pretty cool. So it's a question of how to make that sustainable. What are your thoughts on Amazon putting ads in Prime Video? Well, are they making enough money to break even? All of them already are. Most live streaming video services are not already breaking even. It's Amazon. That doesn't answer the question. Amazon's lost money on Twitch. They've lost money on Amazon Prime Video. The fact that it's Amazon doesn't mean that they're breaking even on one of their side projects. You think Amazon's going to run Amazon Prime Video at a loss for fun? Like, do you think that's how corporations work? Oh, it's Amazon. They've got plenty of money, so they don't have an issue with losing money in a service. Of course they want money. Vaush learning about loss leaders. Why are you patronizing me? I'm explaining it to you. What do you mean? Vaush learning about... I'm sitting here with the flashcards and notes trying to hold them up to you. What am I learning in this conversation? The bounds of my patience, apparently, which are seemingly limitless. My students are all morons! Yeah, exactly. None of this is meant to be like apologia for Netflix or Amazon Prime Video or any shit like that. Fuck these companies. I'm just saying, if you could imagine like a good version of these companies existing, like a version of these companies that is morally on the nose and like magically, it's capitalism, right? So like magically morally on the nose, you know? If you could imagine such a thing, how would they operate in a way that allows them to break even? As in not companies. Yeah, you just follow the thought experiment. How would you allow them to operate in a way that they can break even? You can do the mass data harvesting thing. You can have ads peppered everywhere. You can run up subscription costs massively. Personally, I think that having to pay to see a show or movie or something, or maybe like pay a subscription model or get like bundles or something, I think there are probably like good ways of leveling this out, you know? I think most people are just very reluctant to realize the internet as we know it is completely impossible and it will go away. So when you try to tell them that, they just don't want to hear it. I agree. I do agree. Yeah. I think it's like kind of scary to think about that, like a lot of the stuff that we consider to be just innate is very temporal, and on the greater economic timescale, many of these internet-based systems have been around for a very short time, but we take them for granted because our lives are short, you know? So we look at them and we think of them as permanent, when in reality, like, everything is shifting all the time. We do literally live in a society. Can't wait to say back in my day, the internet was X. Back in my day, the internet was X. It was very different 10 years ago to how it is today. 20 years ago, it was even more different. I remember both states of the internet. I remember Google search used to work. You really just want to relive the Blockbuster days? I can see it. No, I don't want to go to a physical store. That seems a bit antiquated. I'm just saying that as a potential model for solving the bandwidth to profit like problem, directly renting a show so you can only use the bandwidth from the service to watch it after you've paid like $1 or $2 to see it, that might not be a bad idea. Vaush is officially against third place. If you think Blockbuster was ever a third place, your mind is cooked by nostalgia. Blockbusters were cursed.